Hello everyone, this week we're in Parashat Noach. Noach is the second parasha in the book of Genesis, and naturally continues what we started in Genesis. Genesis, Parashat, is the beginning of the year, and last week we've learned that we were created in the image of God, and that means that we are supposed to be in control over what's going on in our lives, and we should accept that idea because this is our destiny. Now in Parashat Noach we're talking about the corruption of humanity. If we want to understand what is the corruption of humanity, we already spoke about it in Genesis. The corruption of humanity comes when humanity does not accept the responsibility for what's ever happening in people's lives. Now here we go in Parashat Noach itself. And the name of Parashat Noach is Noach, after the person Noach, and it starts, these are the generations of Noach, Ele Toldot Noach, which means, basically, in Hebrew, it's not the generations, but it is the offsprings of Noach. And what does it say? Shem ha-menyefet? No, it says, these are the offsprings of Noach. Noach was a righteous person. What's the connection? It should be said, these are the offsprings of Noach. Shem, Ham, and Yefet is 3 sons. Now, the Kabbalists explain to us that this is a secret of success in life. These are the offsprings of Noach. Noach was a righteous person, which means Noach lived 1,000 years ago. We still know who is Noach. We know his name, because we are his descendants. He was the only one from the descendants of Adam that survived the flood, and we are his descendants. How come he was successful? He was successful because he was connected to the idea that being a righteous person is the offsprings of a person, which means if the thought of the human being, something we learned in Parashat Bereshit last week, if the thought of the person is what guarantees control, because controlling the thought system, controlling the thinking system, controlling a thought or an emotion gives us the ability to control our lives. A person that does not know how to control his emotions and thoughts, he's just being controlled by his emotions and thoughts. He has no control over his life. Therefore, he has no control over the future, which is the coming days, months, years, and especially not his children and their children, and so on and so forth. If you want to control the tree, you have to control the seed. The seed is in the mind. Being righteous, which means behaving according to certain rules, is what gave Noach the ability to control his offsprings, which is us, which means the source of success of humanity is the righteousness. And righteousness is coming from the word right, which means the person that is righteous is a person that knows the right rules and the right forces that guide this universe. And because he knows, or she knows, the rules and behaves by these rules, which means self-control means behaving by the rules, not going on with whatever feels like doing, and not being subjugated and controlled by your emotions, your whims and your reactions. And this is the first level of real control. This is the first level of what is what real control is about. Now, why do we need to know about this control? This parasha is speaking about the flood. And now the flood that we are talking about, yes, there is a story that everybody knows. It's a story about there was a flood, a lot of water that covered the earth, wiped the whole earth, and only Noach and whoever was with him in the ark was saved. But whoever studies Kabbalah understands there's another way to look at it. Because you can ask a story, you can ask a question, very simple. When you're 3 years old, maybe you can accept the story about Noach and the ark. However, can you really have, if you look at the story, can you really have few human beings and a lot of animals in a box, sealed box, without any window, any opening and a way in and out for air, to live within it for a whole year. How does that sound like? When we're talking about a flood, we're talking about the flood that we are part of, the flood of information, the flood of emotions, the flood of influences that are flooding our senses from all over, from around us, from the media, from other people, especially the flood of negative thoughts and negative emotions. Can we control that flood? That's what makes us human, if we can control this flood. So the study of Noach is a study of being humane, the study of being able to have real control over what's coming in, what's growing inside us. So this is the secret of the real protection. Now, if you want to understand more details, we have to study. So there are classes, there are readings to do. However, one thing the Zohar is giving us a hint. In our generation, the Noah's Ark is the Zohar, the book. Reading the Zohar can give us the ability to create a protective shield, an ark, that can save us from the flood of negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative ideas that are flooding the world around and make the world corrupt. And the corruption that they are witnessing in our civilization nowadays, that the economy, society, civilization, everything is under danger, is the same corruption from the time of the flood of Noah. Which is, what is corruption? It's about selfishness. It's about doing whatever I feel like. It's like the same flood of emotions. When a person has a flood of emotion and does not know how to block this flood, divert it, control it, he drowns in that flood. The same thing, we have a flood of emotions that we are being trained. You feel like taking, take. You feel like getting high whenever you feel like, get high. All of this is the meaning of what a flood is. So the floods that we are watching around us in economy, in politics, in society, in relationships, whatever, that there's no control, is because people gave up control, gave up righteousness, gave up the human basic right, which is to purify the mind, control the thought, making it connected to the positive thought of the Creator. And by this, we can start building ourselves an ark, stop the flood, and saving ourselves from the flood. Get to work. Good luck.